Welcome along to the sixth event in the 2012 calendar for the Celtic Speed Scottish Mini Cooper Cup. A full grid of cars. Ross's pole position time, 1 minute 3.595. Tim Slay alongside him with Malcolm McNabb third, Stefan de Resta fourth, then Steve Brewster and championship leader David Slay with work to do from 6 on the grid. 7th is Kyle Reid, 8th Steve Clark, and then Shane Stoney back for his second meeting next to Hamish Brandon. Murray Muir and Mikey Faulkner on row 6, then row 7. Chris Reed, Scott McKenzie, Fiona Wallace is the ladies' pole sitter, but all her championship challengers are alongside her. Elaine Marshall, Emma Bruce, Steph McMurdo. The grid completed by Will Smith, Lewis Grant and John Finlayson in car 31, who only managed 2 laps in qualifying, so we'll be looking for John to work his way through the field from the 11th row of the field. The light's starting to go on now. Ross Wiley, left of shot, blue and white. Tim Slay, second in the championship alongside. It's a dismal start from Ross Wiley. It looks like he's going to get overtaken by Stefan de Resta, who comes from position number 4 on the grid to challenge for second. Stefan's through into second place. Malcolm McNabb's up to third. Wiley down to fourth. David Slay trying to go through and past the car of Kyle Reid to take 5th position. So it looks like Slay's made a position up as off goes Malcolm McNabb, dropping back a little bit in car number 4. A wild moment off onto the dirt. Rejoins in front of Steve Brewster in the yellow 19 car, but a great recovery from Malcolm as the cars go down into Carloop corner for the first time. Oh, good stuff. A little bit of contact there at the back of the field, and off goes Steph McMurdo. Steph, you can see a little bit of panel rubbing going on as the cars came out of John R. Weir, and Steph is out of it in a cloud of dust. Bitter disappointment for her. That's her second DNF of the year. Not bad when you think that we've had 13 races, although Steph did miss the Croft round, the lady who's known as Houdini, who couldn't get out of commitments to do the Croft round, so I'll hope she excuses the pun. Going through with the ladies out of the hairpin, and that was still Fiona Wallace leading ladies. Remember, the 4 girls qualified all together on the grid, which is really indicative of just how competitive they all are. Steph has not been able to rejoin, which is a great shame. But out front, it's Tim Slay, Stefan de Resta in second place, and we've got an onboard camera with Steph. You can see that on top of the 11 car. Ross Wiley in third, David Slay up to 4th as they go up to Carloop for the first time. Then it's a gap back, Murray Muir in 5th position, then followed by the number 4 car of Malcolm McNabb. Stefan using a little bit of the road there. So lap 2, Stefan de Resta, second position. Tim Slay out front at the moment. Tim, of course, searching for another win in the number 3 car. He's had 2 wins at the start of the... Bang! Look at that as we go into the hairpin on lap 2. Now, the question is, did he run out of room here? Let's have a look. You can see he does lock up the back wheel. The inside back wheel lifts up. He was trying to brake. He left his braking too late. Now, the unfortunate party there, you've got to say, is Tim Slay, who was in the race lead and finds himself in the gravel. And I'd imagine that's going to be a DNF for Tim, although he's still moving, so maybe he'll be able to rejoin. Yes, he is rejoining. You can see that from the slow-mo. Down behind Steve Clark in the lime green car. Back down the order, Steve Brewster 19, 4, Hamish McNabb, race winner at the Croft BTCC round. Didn't see it here on Motors, but if you're watching on a certain other channel you'd have seen it. And he goes through on the inside of Brewster. Very opportune manoeuvre there for Malcolm McNabb, who goes through. Tim Slay's making progress there in the 3 car. So Slay following through as well. Down behind him, it's Stephen Clark, followed by Hamish Brandon, then Shane Stoney in the white 89 car. The second white car in the mix as well is Mikey Faulkner in, I think, 11th place. There is Fiona Wallace going through shot, the white purple car, still the leading lady. So Fiona, who's been beaten a couple of times, several times actually, by Elaine Marshall this year, seems to be getting her championship challenge back on track as Tim Slay continues to try and hunt down Steve Bruce. There in 89 is Shane Stoney, who raced in the very briefly in the Ginetta Junior Championship on the touring car package, and now races in the National Mini Challenge. Moved up into the Scottish Minis at our last round. Had 11th in the first race, 6th in race 2, 4th in his third race. So hoping to make a wee bit of progress here. Let's see how Shane can do. This is a slightly different, obviously, bunch of drivers to the National Championship. And don't think the National Championship guys get a chance to come up here to Knockhill, which is a shame. They run a slightly different specification to the cars you're seeing here. But I'm sure you'll agree, the new model Mini giving us a fantastic racing weekend every time we see them. So Tim Slay, having had an off and a Bosch in the back, is running very well at the moment, climbing his way through the field. Still the race leader is Ross Wiley from David Slay in second place. We look back, Murray Muir chasing down Hamish Brandon. Hamish taking a very wide line into the hairpin. A little bit of a change going on behind. A couple of the white liveried cars, Mikey Falconer and Chris Reed, involved in their battle, but up past the... Just pause to hear the engines as the race leaders go through. Kyle Reid still in third place. Fourth position is car number 4, Malcolm McNabb. So Malcolm's really come on leaps and bounds this year. Leads the Newcomers Cup 246 points to Ross Wiley's 225. But Wiley's going to put a few points out on him this one if things stay the way they are. Malcolm bounces over the curbs in the Team Slay Racing prepared car, not too far away from the third place driver at the moment. So Kyle Reid, double winner. Both of these guys have won races, of course, and the only driver out of the top 4 who hasn't won a race so far is the man who qualified on pole position today, Ross Wiley, ex-Carter. So Ross will be hoping that he can convert what was a pole position. He dropped to 4th, recovered, now back in the lead, and he'll be hoping that he'll be able to take a race win back to Thornhill, Dumfries, Galloway, where he comes from. He's turns 21 in September, but he's coming under pressure from the championship leader, the reigning champion in car number 1, David Slay, putting him under pressure as they go down Duffer's Dip, half a car's length or so. Wiley at the moment looking pretty cool under pressure, wide line into Scotsman. Not particularly defensive at all. These two, I've got to say, if they were heavily embroiled in battle, would be slowing each other up and allowing the third place car of Murray Muir to close in, but that's not the case at the moment. They're getting away from the field, and the fastest driver on circuit at the moment is Ross Wiley, the race leader, so the incentive of having his mirrors full of David Slay seems to be working for him and egging him along. Let's see whether Slay can put himself in a position to maybe have a look as they come down to the inside. Ross Wiley slightly more over to the inside, but it's a late run from Slay down the inside line, and there is space on the inside. Slay goes through. Wiley not forced out onto the dirt at all. He does use the curb, but Wiley down to second position, and David Slay, the championship leader, looking for his 7th win of the championship season this year. Up across the line they go. Look at the gap they've got back to Murray Muir in second position. Beg your pardon. Kyle Reid in third position at the moment. The leader's coming down into Scotsman. Ross Wiley hasn't given up the ghost. It's a good clean pass by David Slay. No door handling or panel bashing between the two cars. A lot of respect between the two drivers, and Ross Wiley has now proved that he's got the pace and the experience that he's building to go 1-to-1 with the former Scottish XR2 champion, reigning Scottish Mini Cooper Cup champion as well. Out of Carloop Corner they go. So this a cracking little race as ever from the Minis. Just the one retiree so far, which remains Steph McMurdo on that opening lap, that contact now. But Wiley coming outside line into the hairpin. Is he going to try and do what David Slay does, go for the cut back on the inside? No, he doesn't do that. Pretty much follows the race leader line for line. Up ahead of them is the damaged car of Stefan De Resta, running in 20th place. They've managed to get the bonnet sorted out and on the car as the race leaders go on to the last lap. I don't think, given the pace that Stefan's showing on the timing screen, means that he's going to drop a lap. There in third place is Kyle, and Tim Slay's up to 4th. Tim Slay, what a great recovery, but look at this, 7 cars all dicing over 4th place. Down Duffer's Dip on the last time. Still there, it's Tim Slay, Steve Clark behind him, then Stephen Brewster in yellow, Shane Stoney in white. I don't think Shane's going to maybe pull off his best result so far. This is only his 4th Scottish Championship race. Behind them, it's Malcolm McNabb in car number 4, then Hamish Brandon, followed by Murray Muir, then Mikey Falconer, Chris Reed the second of the white cars, and then Fiona Wallace, not too far away from this 7-car scrap over 4th place. So Fiona Wallace having an absolutely superb race and not too far away from the leaders. Elaine Marshall as well is there. A lap down nearly is Stefan de Resta, but taking his 7th win of the season and 25 championship points to open up the gap on his brother is David Slay. Slay wins. Ross Wiley takes 2nd again. It's his 3rd second place of the year. Up across the line for 3rd comes Kyle Reid. Here comes Tim Slay. Good recovery from being punted off the circuit. Takes 4th place. Steve Clark, Steve Brewster, Shane Stoney, Malcolm McNabb, Hamish Brandon, followed by Murray Mill, Mikey Falconer, Chris Reid, Fiona Wallace. I can barely keep up as they cross the line. Fantastic finish, and we'll recount the official result for you of round 14 of the Celtic Speed Scottish Mini Cooper Cup. The win going to David Slay, Ross Wiley in 2nd, Ross getting the fastest lap. Kyle Reid completes the podium, then Tim Slay, Steve Clark 5th place from Steve Brewster, then Shane Stoney and Malcolm McNabb, Hamish Brandon and Murray Muir rounding off the top 10, Mikey Falconer and Chris Reid 11th and 12th, followed by ladies winner Fiona Wallace just ahead of Elaine Marshall, then Lewis Grant, good result from him, moving up from towards the back of the grid. Scott McKenzie 16th from Emma Bruce, then John Finlayson, Will Smith and Stefan de Resta gets a classified finish in 20th. That's good track time for him, and of course the non-finisher hard lines to Steph McMurdo, who no doubt will be out for race 2.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter King.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to Knockhill. The car's coming out on the circuit for our 2nd race, and pole position goes to the race 1 winner David Slay. Ross Wiley alongside with Kyle Reid and Tim Slay on row 2. 3rd row Steve Clark and Stephen Brewster, and then on row 4 we see Shane Stoney with Malcolm McNabb. Hamish Brandon and Murray Muir behind them. 11th is Mikey Falconer and 12th place Chris Reid. 13th was Fiona Wallace. She is lining up next to Elaine Marshall. Then it's Lewis Grant and Scott McKenzie, Emma Bruce and John Finlayson. 18th, the grid completed by Will Smith, Stefan de Resta and Steph McMurdo. And we're ready for the start. Ross Wiley looks like he is just a tad ahead at the moment on the grid. David Slay alongside. Might be the angle proving a little bit deceptive, but the countdown continues and we're ready for our 2nd race of the day. David Slay on pole position, the championship leader. The man 2nd in the rookies, Ross Wiley, is alongside him. The lights are on. And off they go. Better start than race 1 for Ross Wiley, but it's not good enough to beat Slay off the line. He's already got a car length, and I think Wiley seems to be a little bit slower through the gears. Steph McMurdo completes them all off the line. They're all safe and sound as they head down Duffers Dip for the first time. A look at Steve Brewster in 19, followed by Murray Muir in car number 10. Then it's the Panda car of Hamish Brandon, and already making up places at the back, the red number 11 car of Stefan de Resta. He's passed about 3 or 4 cars off the start line and down to Scotsman Corner as we look at Chris Reid in 29. Tim Slay, he's there at the moment in 3rd, but Ross Wiley from 2nd back to 4th. Tim Slay challenging for 2nd, so it could be a Slay Boys 1-2 as they come out of his lops. Here comes Tim Slay challenging for 2nd place on the inside of Kyle Reid. Side by side, it looks like he's going to get this done as they come into the hairpin. Ross Wiley's going to try and follow him through as well. Wiley challenging for 3rd place. Well, it seems like he wasn't too quick up the gears. There in car number 31 is John Finlayson, about to be passed by Stefan de Resta, who's making excellent progress, but it's David Slay across the line in the lead. His brother Tim 2nd, followed by Murray Muir. Ross Wiley in 4th. Through go the rest of the field. It's a good clean start. We haven't lost anybody on lap 1, so they'll all be pleased with that as we go to 2nd, 3rd, 4th place. At the moment it's Kyle Reid in third position, gets a wheel on the dirt, runs wide, and that allows Ross Wiley to come through. Wiley powers his way through, and so too coming through is Malcolm McNabb. Has a look at the inside, challenges for fourth place, hasn't quite got the momentum to do so, and he's coming under pressure now as well. I think that's Shane Stoney in car number 89 in white who's putting the pressure on Monkey McNabb. He's gone through the inside. Oh, good stuff for him. Steve Brewster in the yellow 19 car is in the mix as well, and it looks like Brewster's going to find his way past Malcolm McNabb, as up to second goes Ross Wiley. And now we've got a challenge on Tim Slay looking down the inside. Kyle Reid on the outside. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there between Tim Slay and Kyle Reid as they came out of the hairpin. They're climbing up the hill. This is the view from Stefan de Resta, making his way through the pack, working hard. Started 20th on the grid. He's already overtaken about half a dozen cars. You can see the new front on the car. Might be a bit confusing for the people watching here, having seen him with a red front earlier on, but he's having a good go, and you can see he's already caught Hamish Brandon, who finished the first race in ninth position. Let's see if we can see a pass from Stefan, who's working real hard to make amends for his first race, and still making progress as we go back down the order. Here we come then, or back up the order I should say. Tim Slade tags Murray Muir going into Clark, and off goes Murray Muir. Oh, he's going to be furious about that. You've got to say, probably a racing incident, but Murray, that's effectively a podium down the Swanee, maybe even a race win, because we've seen him overtake before, and he knows he's capable of the wins. 2 wins last time, it's not going to be that for him today. Chris Reid in 29, heading this gaggle of cars, and Tim Slay finds himself right in the mix there. The question I've got to ask is, has Tim Slay damaged his car, and will he be able to recover like he did in race 1, where he ended up in the gravel? Wasn't his fault in race 1. And again, probably a little bit of a racing incident in race 2. Stuck his nose up the inside. What you don't know, of course, from watching from the outside, is the exact position on track, because you can't see the angle head on. You can't also see the telemetry from the cars to see who's braking where and who's slowing down where. So we'll let the arguing go on in the paddock, and perhaps the clerk of the courses office, as we look at this scrap going on at the moment between Steve Brewster in car number 19 at the moment, heading the 29 car of Chris Reid. Then it's Malcolm McNabb in 4, down behind them David Slay. Lewis Grant in 24's made excellent progress. He's the black car with the Newcomers cross on the back, coming up through the field. Remember, qualified Lewis Grant down in 20th position this morning, so he's having a very good run indeed and making excellent progress, as too is this man, Stefan de Resta. On board we go. A little bit of racing going on here, side by side. Is he going to be able to make this one stick as they come up the hill? Yes, he is. So Stefan makes up a position. Hamish Brandon in front of him under the Beatsons Bridge. Into Duffus they go. Here's the view from 2 or 3 cars ahead of that onboard battle we were just looking at. Malcolm McNabb still trying to put the pressure on Chris Reid. Tim Slay not looking happy, I've got to say, behind them. I think he's picked up damage in that little shunt. McNabb looks at the inside line. Can't go through, still there, McNabb chasing and putting the pressure on, absolutely relentless over the course of this 9 laps. Shane Stoney is in 3rd place. We're looking at Steve Brewster in 4th, then Chris Reid, then it's Tim Slay, Hamish Brandon, very closely followed by Stefan de Resta, who's putting pressure on. Look at de Resta, the black and red car, chasing the fluorescent Panda car as they come down the straight. Is he going to make a move here? We flick away, just looking at Chris Reid in 29, racing line there for him. Malcolm McNabb not in a position to challenge as they come out of the hairpin and climb up the hill again. And if you look in the distance, 1st and 2nd, David Slay up across the line, still leading this one. We had the 2nd place car, Ross Wiley goes through, Shane Stoney in 3rd. Ahead of that bunch we just saw go across the line. And let's see whether Hamish Brandon is trying to pass Tim Slay. Brandon looks to the outside line. He's got his eyes on his mirrors as well, because Stefan de Resta's there. He might be looking in his mirror and thinking, where did Stefan come from? He was 20th on the grid. He's made superb progress. Mikey Faulkner down behind them in car number 2. That was the machine we saw Stefan de Resta overtake. Through the climb they go, through John R. Weir, Blind Brow, out of there into Carloop Corner. This is superb stuff as ever from the Celtic Speed Scottish Minis. There's Mikey Faulkner, the 26-year-old from Musselburgh. Did a little bit of XR2 racing with us here in Scotland briefly in 2010, but a very welcome addition to the Scottish Mini Since as Di Resta looks down the inside. This is a much better manoeuvre than we saw on Tim Slay earlier on, and I wonder if Tim's going to be looking in his mirrors here and thinking, oh, here comes Steph, let's hope we don't get a bang like we did in race 1. Hamish is fighting back though, left of shot in car number 8, let's see whether he can hang on to it, but we've already seen Stefan Di Resta pull the move earlier on Mikey Falconer. He's got the inside line, and let's see if he can hang on there side by side, and Hamish here could get hung out to dry because Mikey Falconer's coming up the inside as well, tries to squeeze him down the inside, doesn't quite work for him, and Hamish loses the place to Stefan Di Resta but hangs on from Mikey Falconer. Tim Slay goes wide. Slay makes, now that's got to be the car playing him up. You don't tend to see that sort of move from Tim Slay in car number 3. Mikey Falconer all over the back of him at the moment. Then behind them it's Lewis Grant in 24. I say again, a superb race from him. So he's had a great race. Murray Muir in the mix as well, just ahead of him. Wow, cracking stuff from these guys. There's Steve Brewster fourth. The yellow car goes through shot. We look back. Stefan Di Resta is there as well. Then Hamish, Brandon, Mikey Falconer down on the inside of Tim Slay. Hard on the brake. Slay's car, you can see, not happy, but that was a great move by Mikey. Wonderful to see him get some coverage. Of course, he's running in Team Slay Racing as well. You can see that on the back of the car. Athena on the side of the car, giving us a clue, of course, to his allegiance team-wise. Up over the brow we go. Of course, it's not team racing sport, but I guess teammates are going to help each other out from time to time. Back with Malcolm McNabb, 5th place at the moment. The 4th place man ahead of him is Steve Brewster in yellow. Chris Reed behind him, and Stefan Di Resta has made a good charge through the field, but time is running out for Stefan. Looks like he might be able to try and squeeze through on the inside. Now, of course, if you recognise the name, I said it on the programme that we had in July, he's Paul Di Resta's brother and, of course, cousin to Marino and Dario Franchitti, and I'm very keen, of course, pleased to mention Marino as well, driver that a few people overlook, but we're not going to on this programme. And I think he's through. Side by side they go, and he's trying to get through on the inside of Chris Reed. Yes, he has. He's got his nose in front. Chris Reed deposed from 6th position, but he's fighting back on the outside line, and Hamish Brandon thinks he wants a bit of the action as well. But Di Resta from 20th on the grid into 6th. This is a terrific drive from him. Make no mistake, he's picked them off one by one. There's Ross Wiley going through shot in blue. The white car of Shane Stoney 3rd. 4th, Steve Brewster. 5th, Malcolm McNabb. There is Stefan Di Resta, followed by Chris Reed. Hamish Brandon hounding him. Hamish looking one way, then the other. He'll be trying to squeeze past on the last lap. Now remember that Hamish was on the podium at our last round of the previous event, so and you've got podium finishers dicing down the lower reach to the top 10 and second in the championship, albeit with a bit of car damage in 11th. That just shows you how competitive this championship is. David Slay, though, the championship leader, is going to extend things even further. He's got fastest lap too. So Slay on for 26 points here. It's going to be a perfect points haul. He surely isn't going to make any mistakes. Rounds the final turn. Comes out of the hairpin, and he'll look up the hill and he'll see the checkered flag beckoning for the 8th time this year. He's got the reverse grid race to come. He's already won from 6th place. I wonder where he'll start in race 3. Slay takes the win. Here comes Ross Wiley. Another 2nd position for Wiley to add to his tally. Shane Stoney takes 3rd. That's his best ever result. He beats 4th in the last round by getting a podium here. Well done, Shane, on your first podium. But here's the official result. David Slay from Ross Wiley, Shane Stoney 3rd, Steve Brewster in 4th from Malcolm McNabb, Stefan Di Resta takes 6th ahead of Chris Reed, Hamish Brandon 8th, then Mikey Falconer, Murray Muir 10th from Tim Slay, dropping points in 11th, Lewis Grant 12th, great drive from him, John Finlayson 13th from Fiona Wallace, ladies winner again, Scott McKenzie in 15th from Will Smith, Steph McMurdo 17th, Emma Bruce in 18th, 19th was Elaine Marshall, and in 20th position Steve Clark. Just to reiterate, David Slay gets the fastest lap of the race, 64.172, averaging 71.8 miles per hour.
Resta on pole. Stefan, come. What's going on today? Up and down. You qualified near the front, you had an accident, you finished last, you started last. Then I'm so smug because I predicted this. I said you were going to make it to that cut point, and what do? They pull it out the hat and you're back on pole. What else can go wrong?
Still another race to go yet. There's still a bit of controversy for the first race. I braked myself, but I never anticipated the car in front of me braking early, and then they did. But at the end of the day, it's still my fault. But I took my cell at that race, and then I had to come from the back of that one, and we came here to get our signatures. And after the first race, I got my signature. So from the next race we went into, we didn't have no championship positions we were fighting for. We were not fighting for signatures. It was just a race to go and doing that. So I just had a positive mindset, and we went out and got a few off the line, got a few in the first lap, and just kept picking away. And the time I came in and that, and the mechanic said I finished 6th, and I went, that's quite close to the cut-off, and then they done the draw at the hat, and now I'm starting in pole. So I went from the very back to the very front in one race, so I can't ask for much more.
You're making it entertaining. The car looks like a shambles. I take it feels okay?
It doesn't feel too bad, but I've always been a great believer. A good-looking car's a fast car, or a clean car's a fast car, but this has proved otherwise today.
This has got to be your best chance to take that first win. Is that putting a bit of pressure on you?
It is. I'm still struggling severely badly in the straight line speed and that, so it might be a bit different when I'm in the front and I'm outside a toe, but I'll go out and I'll put my head down and go, and if somebody's quicker and they pass me and it's fair dues, I'll go out and I'll try my hardest to win.
Good stuff, good luck, we'll all be watching. There you go, a bit of encouragement from the guys there. Murray, don't take this the wrong way, but you're having a bit of an off time of it.
Yeah, well, we've had a few problems with the car this weekend. It seems to be back on the pace, but I don't know. I think everyone else seems to be picking up the pace, but I'm not. So I don't know if it's the tyres or just not getting used to it being dry, I guess.
So you're blaming yourself, not the car?
Yeah, I guess it's that way, but I don't know. Just got to live with the conditions, and hopefully we can move forward from here.
Good stuff, good luck. Let's see you go towards the front. Should we wander back and have a chat with Hamish Brandon in the bright Pandemonium Racing Mini? Hamish had a slow start to the year, but he's really coming on strong and a great qualifying this morning, well inside the top 10. I'm going to see if I can interrupt here for a second, if I can. Hamish, going well now, aren't you?
Hey Joe, yeah, we're trying hard. It's not gone completely a plan this weekend, but the pace has been there. I think in the first race, I think we're third fastest, so we're getting the pace, but it's just obviously now everybody's so fast, and you get in a tight bunch, and it could go either way. You got people behind you, people in front, and it's luck of the draw really sometimes. So
I mentioned just as I was walking over here that it was kind of a slow start to the year for you. You built this car, it looks fantastic. You sort of didn't really get to grips with it to begin with, but qualifying this morning I think was really good.
Yeah, we had a good qualifying. We qualified 8th, but then in the end we got a 2-place penalty for the fastest lap being on the yellow. So it's unfortunate, but that's the rules, the same for everybody else. So just try to make the most of it. We started 10th and we've gained 1 place each race, so hopefully we can just have a good race and finish the day off on a high. What
can you do from here? You're not that far off. Can you go forward from here? How far can you get?
I hope so. I hope we can make a couple of places. And obviously the guys in front, they're all very fast, and the people behind are fast as well. So I think it all revolves around what happens on the start and see who gets away clean, and hopefully just try and keep out of trouble for the first lap. And then
you expecting some carnage at the first corner?
I think there might be. I put money on it.
Good stuff. Good luck. There we go. We're all set for, in my opinion, what is going to be the best race of the day. I'll hand it to you, Richard. Take him through the starting order.
Joe Tannock, you're a gentleman. Thanks very much, mate. Pole position then, Stefan de Resta. And he's got some work to do, really, got to say, from pole position. Malcolm McNabb will line up alongside him. And then Steve Brewster, Shane Stoney 4th, Ross Wiley and David Slay completing the top 3 rows. Plenty of potential winners there for sure. Chris Reed and Hamish Brandon on row 4. Then it's Mikey Faulkner and Murray Muir. Tim Slay and Lewis Grant completing the 6th row of the grid. 7th, John Finlayson and Fiona Wallace. The 8th row, Scott McKenzie and Will Smith. Then it's Steph McMurdo and Emma Bruce. Following them, Elaine Marshall and Steve Clark. Kyle Reid completes the grid here for the final, which is round 16 of the Celtic Speed Scottish Mini Cooper Cup for 2012. So, if we said the top 6, well, there's drivers actually all the way down the top 10 that are capable of wins, but if we look at it, Stefan de Resta we know has the speed and is capable to take a win. There he is, car number 11, lining up on the grid alongside him, Malcolm McNabb. He's already had one win in a reverse grid race. That was at Croft. Steve Brewster, he's certainly able to take a win. Shane Stoney, the newcomer, has been getting better and better. Just his 6th Scottish Championship race. Remember, last time out, 11th, 6th and 4th, 7th and a 3rd so far today. Then Ross Wiley, pole position man today, so certainly got the speed around the track. Just needs the racecraft to maybe come through from 5th. And David Slaves looking to try and do the impossible today. And we were discussing this at Croft a few weeks ago. I'm pretty sure nobody's ever won all 3 mini races. This year, I think some people did tip one of the Sleigh boys to do it. Certainly if you look at the championship in the early stages of the year, some of the other guys were still trying to work their way up towards them and get closer to the Sleigh boys. The gap's been closed up this year. If you look at the championship points, David and Tim still got a very healthy lead in the championship. So we may well get the opportunity either at this meeting or the remaining 2 that we've got with the SMRC, where we've got 3 races, to see whether we're going to get that magic hat-trick done in the championship. It's been a long time in the offing. We haven't seen it so far. But are we going to see DeResta take a first-time win, or Malcolm McNabb maybe another win? We know that he can lead from the front. We've seen him do that at Croft. Steve Brewster is capable as well on the inside of row 2. Shane Stoney is hungry for a first win too. Sleigh wants more championship points. Ross Wiley wants his first win as well. On the 4th row, Chris Reed, 7th, his best result of the season, and Hamish Brandon in 8th. He had a podium last time out. Lights out, and away we go. Racing in the Celtic Speed Scottish Mini Cooper Cup for the last time this weekend. Shane Stoney in white chops across, goes into 3rd place. Up into 4th is David Slays looking round the inside. It's 3 wide for 5th position. Ross Wiley there at the moment from Chris. There's a rollover. That's Tim Slay. Tim Slay rolled. That's a horrendous looking roll for Tim Slay, and a very battered looking car. That is force 10 on the rickety scale for sure. Well, we didn't see what happened. That's Mikey Falconer, his teammate, car number 2. We didn't see if there was any contact. There must have been some instigating factor there. At this stage, he's just on the side. Look how the energy dissipates now. Goes from a fairly static thing, and then the momentum gets going, and the car just flips over. And poor old Tim is going to be very, very shaken up after that. That's got to be a red flag. Certainly a safety car. The cars are still going on though at the moment, full tilt. As we look at Hamish Brandon following Chris Reed through, and out front it's Malcolm McNabb in the race lead from the outside of the front row. Stefan DeResta in 2nd place. 3rd is Shane Stoney. Rest of the field coming through. I think they're getting the message now. We have got a safety car, and I think they'll be seeing yellow flags, so things starting to slow down. Stefan DeResta having a look at the outside line here. You can see the yellow flags. They should be slowing down probably a lot more than they are. You can see the pace car is there and picks them up as they go across past the entrance to the pit lane. So not the way we wanted to start round 16 of the championship. Now the last thing, of course, that's going to be on Tim Slay's mind at the moment is the number of points that he's lost this meeting. You know, bear in mind that he started off the championship rounds 1 and 2. He won both of those. Took pole position at our first meeting as well, did Tim Slay. So just the 1 fastest lap so far this year. That's how competitive the championship has been. But he's he's lost out now. This is Mikey Falconer, who we also saw in the mix. I don't know whether the 2 touched. We didn't manage to pick it up on the cameras. As you can imagine, we're following the race leaders down into Scotsman Corner first time. So Mikey Falconer goes into pit lane, possibly repairable. We'll wait and see. He's made it around this far, and of course if he can get back on track, then the Team Slay boys, whilst being very concerned about Tim, will try and get their customer car back out on track. But we're just picking up the racers who, after that first lap surge of adrenaline, get the opportunity to slow down. At least the restart's not going to be side by side.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? will download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter King.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Cars coming out of Clark Corner and down into Hislop, so race leader still there. Malcolm McNabb out front and Stefan De Resta in second place. Third place Shane Stoney. We're going to see any changes here. De Resta taking a much wider racing line, maybe look for a run up the hill. Shane Stoney's there in third. Here we go on board with Stefan at the moment on the outside of the track, moves over to the middle of the circuit. We need to look either side to see whether there's going to be a challenge coming from Shane Stoney in the 89 car. Let's have a look. He was certainly gunning for, and there he is. Shane Stoney goes into second place. He's got his nose in front. Is he going to get the run down into Duffus? No, Stefan wants the line, grabs the inside line on the first part, grabs the apex on the second, and that means that second position is still safe for Stefan De Resta, or is it? Yes, it is. No, David Slay's come through. So David Slay's come through past Shane Stoney. So Shane getting caught on the outside line. Stefan De Resta still second. David Slay third, then Ross Wiley came through as well. Maybe a little bit of inexperience at Knockhill for Shane Stoney. It was a good attacking move. There's Chris Reed in car number 29. Good to see Chris up in sixth place. That is his best position of the year so far. Had a brace of seventh places, including the one, of course, in race 2. And the race leaders down into the hairpin again. Still Malcolm McNabb hanging on. I think we might be beginning to see a repeat of the sort of race we saw when he took that superb win at Croft. Remember, he led for a long time at the away round at Alton Park. He's almost made himself a little bit of a non-Knockhill specialist, although we do see some very consistent fast racing from him here at Knockhill. He just needs to get that first win. Rest of the field all going through, 20 runners still going quite happily, and look at that, Malcolm McNabb putting a bit of space between himself and De Resta at the moment. 4, maybe 5 car lengths, then another 3 back to the championship leader in third place. Ross Wiley all over the back of him again, and that's been the story of this meeting so far, aside from Ross taking pole position. I think his starts are something that probably need to be worked on. Slay bounces over the curbs, Wiley chasing him, then Shane Stoney back in fifth. He'll be kicking himself for that little error. He's got his lights on. He thinks he's entitled to get back in front of these cars as they come down into the hairpin again. Let's have a look back, see if we're going to get any chance. Here comes Ross Wiley down the inside of David Slay, attacks De Resta. Oh, he's hit the side of Paul De Resta's car, Stefan De Resta's car, and that's damage. So Ross Wiley clatters, and he's got damage as well. Wiley into pit lane. Ross Wiley into pit lane, Stefan De Resta. So 2 of the main race challengers, the 2 main protagonists, are out. Well, bitter disappointment for those. Stefan De Resta very quickly into pit lane. He sadly is out of the race. Let's go down to the pits and join Joe Tanner, who is catching up with Stefan.
Stefan, roller coaster.
It's your fault.
No, I'm not feeling so clever now, am I? Roller coaster of a day continues.
It does. We weren't that quick there. We got a bad start. I got too much wheel spin off the line, and then I was just struggling straight line speed. They were all just pulling by me up the straight, so I knew I wasn't going to catch. So I thought I may as well try and hold off for second, and I just saw in the mirrors, saw Ross make a move and Slay behind me, and I was like, that looked late. And as just I turned into the corner, I just saw the blue and white come at the side of me, and I just sort of shut my eyes and opened up, and I was still able to drive, so I just thought I'd pull up to the pits. But these things happen, never meant
It'll come together soon, and we'll see 3 wins. 3 calm wins with no incidents or drama.
Well, I've got all my signatures, so whether I'm at another round or no is still to be determined, but we'll wait and see.
Good stuff.
Cheers.
Thanks, Joe. Good interview from Joe down there to find out what happened. Of course, Ross Wiley has retired from the race as well. And, well, the fortunes change around. You know, he admitted that it was his fault in race number 1, and he gets... it's almost karma, isn't it? I suppose you could say in race number 2 that these things happen, but sadly out of the race, as is Tim Slay, of course, who tagged somebody in race number 2. So let's have a look, see how things are settling down. There's Hamish Brandon, who is running well in car number 8. Murray Muir, 2 cars back on him. Here they come then into these Chris Reed that Hamish has managed to get ahead of. Steve Brewster in 19, he's there as well. Steve Clark, we're used to seeing them much higher up. Kyle Reed in the mix as well, the White Acumen car looking up the inside. So across the line they go again. Hamish Brandon, by my reckoning, actually came out of read that very well. I think he's come through in 4th place. We'll try and sort that one out. Murray Muir taking 5th at the moment from Chris Reed as they go down into Scotsman Corner. A little bit of a moment there on the dirt for one of them, but Brandon starting to get away from this bunch. I think we've got time now to pop down to the pit lane once again.
Ross, nightmare.
Yeah, complete nightmare. Went for the overtake on 3rd place, David Slay. Got alongside him and just couldn't stop the car. Just locked the front wheels up, and unfortunately I crashed into the side of Stefan de Resta. It's a bit of a shame, really. I'm a bit gutted for Stefan as much as myself. You know, it was just one of those things. You know, I was already committed to the move, and there was no way that I could have avoided hitting Stefan, unfortunately. Just a real shame.
It'll all come together soon. I said the same thing to Stefan. You two are knocking on the door of that first win, but everything you seem to do, it just seems to go wrong at the moment.
It is, yeah. It's been a very difficult season, obviously, first season in the minis. You know, so it's a big learning curve. But certainly didn't want to end a race like that.
Unlucky today.
Yes, thank you.
I think if you'd have asked Ross at the start of the season if he'd like to take a couple of podia away from his first season, he'd have probably been pretty pleased, and a pole position. But of course they live for the moment, and that's disappointing for him going out like that, but I'm sure he'll be back before the end of the season. So the crazy minis carry on. Through come the cars down towards the tail end of the field. Emma Bruce in 25 at the moment, running well, but the ladies championship being led by Steph McMurdo. Well done, Steph, from the gravel on race number 1 up into lead position in the ladies cup at the minute. Could be I think the first win for her in the ladies championship. Just going to have a quick check on the points. Yeah, it's going to be Steph's first one if she can hang on. But we go back to Kyle Reed in car number 20, Steve Brewster, Steve Clark following. Up ahead of them, Chris Reed. Then it's the car of Murray Muir, number 10. He's running in 5th place. Hamish Brandon in 4th. Well, if anything happens to any of the top 3 cars, Hamish could find himself up on the podium again. So he has really worked hard so far. So too has Murray Muir. Remember, he's had a couple of top 10s so far this year. Always seems to just come to the boil in about 10th place and hasn't got much higher, but 5th potentially for Murray Muir. It does seem like he's beginning to turn things around, which is very good. So out front now, it's David Slay chasing his teammate up across the line. Malcolm McNabb looking for career win number 2. And David Slay, well, you've got to say that the hat-trick is a real possibility here at Knockhill today. Is Slay going to be able to do it? There is Hamish Brandon up across the line in 4th place. 5th place, Murray Muir. Through go the field, locked on camera gives us a really good idea about how the field is getting spread out. Shane Stoney in 3rd place. Could be another podium in the offing for Shane. Probably wasn't expecting it with the reverse grid race. And if he hadn't made that wee mistake earlier on, could have perhaps been knocking on the door of the lead. He's certainly not being lost by these 2 race winners. David Slay with 8 wins this year, already putting the pressure on the race leader. Malcolm McNabb still there, but here comes Slay, takes the outside line. This is a classic pass here at Knockhill, and down the inside they come into the hairpin. I'm sure they're not going to tag each other, and David Slay makes a clean manoeuvre. I think Malcolm McNabb knows that the job is complete. He's down to 2nd position. His 2nd career win's not going to come, but as they come, look at the timing. There goes the last lap board, and David Slay could be making history here. We have not had in the history of the Scottish Mini Cooper Cup, a driver take all 3 race wins. We've had doubles where we've had 2 races in an event, but where we've had 3, including the reverse race, we haven't seen anybody do it, certainly with these numbers of cars. So if David Slay can pull this off, it'll be remarkable. And Shane Stoney wants to try and beat his best. He's up to 3rd. That was his best result, of course, in race 2. He's trying to get up to 2nd in this one. And Malcolm McNabb, far from going defensive, throws caution to the wind, throws the car to the outside of the track, kicks up the dirt. Eat dirt, he says to Shane Stoney. Through Clark Curve they go on the last time. David Slay is going to make history unless he makes a mistake. He's been calm and assured. He only qualified in 6th place this morning, but it's been superb driving from him all weekend. That's why he's the reigning champion. That's why he leads this year's championship. Through the hairpin, the climb, he's safe now. All he's got to do, barring an engine failure, it's going to be win number 3, the first ever hat-trick for David Slay. Slay takes it. David Slay wins. A great 2nd place for Malcolm McNabb. Shane Stoney in 3rd again, 2 podia in his 2nd meeting. Hamish Brandon's 4th, then Murray Muir, Chris Reed, Steve Brewster, Steve Clark, Kyle Reed. They complete the top 9. Who's going to get 10th at the moment? It's Scott McKenzie. We can see Scott in the distance. Scott coming up now. In 10th place, Scott McKenzie takes 10th position. Then Lewis Grant. Here's Steph McMurdo. Steph wins the Ladies' Cup for the first time. Well, the best of congratulations to her after a disappointing opening lap of race 1. Steph McMurdo wins the Ladies' Cup, bags the points and lays the challenge down to Elaine Marshall and Fiona Wallace. What a fantastic end to a race that had a very frustrating start. David Slay takes the win and fastest lap from Malcolm McNabb. Shane Stoney in 3rd, Hamish Brandon 4th from Murray Muir. Chris Reed in 6th place, 7th goes to Steve Brewster from Steve Clark, then Kyle Reed, Scott McKenzie 10th, Lewis Grant in 11th, and Steph McMurdo, I say it again, the winner of the Ladies' Cup class in that race. John Finlayson 13th from Emma Bruce, Will Smith 15th from Elaine Marshall, then Mikey Falconer. Tables turned for poor old Fiona Wallace, who comes home in 18th place but nonetheless picks up the points. So David Slay extends his championship lead over his brother Tim, with Kyle Reed in 3rd, Steve Brewster 4th from Malcolm McNabb, and Ross Wiley in 6th place. In the newcomers, Malcolm McNabb leads from Ross Wiley, Steve Clark in 3rd from Chris Reed, Scott McKenzie 5th, and John Finlayson in 6th place. And in the Ladies' Cup, Elaine Marshall retains her lead with Fiona Wallace in 2nd, Emma Bruce 3rd, Steph McMurdo 4th but getting closer, and of course Louise Flitton in 5th.
David Slay, this is a moment of history that you've made here. You'll see on the board 111. You're the first person to win 3 mini races on the same day.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, from what I thought was going to turn out a pretty poor day, from qualifying 2nd, getting shoved back to 6th, it's just kind of worked out perfect. You know, the car's been going really well. We did some changes yesterday, and wow, it's doing really well. It's going brilliant.
Championship's looking great, obviously. 3 wins in one day, but not an easy day, not an easy race, in particular that one when you saw your brother's car.
Yeah, definitely not. You know, just coming around the safety car lap, thinking, right, who's off there? Looking down and thinking it was one of my brother's car, you know, one of the teammates, and it was just like kind of a wee bit soul destroying initially, you know, trying to get my head round it and think, well, you know, I think it would been, you know, Tim had been like sitting in the car, he'd be just thinking like, well, Dave, just get your act together, like, don't think about this, worry about it afterwards, get on with the race, like, so that's what I try to do.
Well done, great to see you really starting to turn this season round.
Yeah, well, you know,
I'm only winding you up.
I think that's now, but we're 9 wins this year now.
I know, it's really starting to come good.
You get your stats correct, Joe, before you start making these comments.
I know, I'm only playing with you. And I changed my prediction for the championship. I'm allowed to do that. I'm now predicting that you might win this championship.
Yeah, what's he like, eh? Hey, just because I said I wouldn't be friends with you anymore.
I know. Well done today.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
That's all we have time for from the Celtic Speed Scottish Mini Cooper Cup. We've had some fantastic racing, some great close action. Please join us later in the year as the championship begins to draw to a close.